Senator Menendez.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Kelly. Thank you very much. When you applaud before I say anything, it's an act of faith. So we will try to keep faith with your applause. Good afternoon. It's great to see you all here today. I'm thrilled to follow my distinguished colleague, for which we shared so much in common, Senator Ebrahim, who is a stalwart, strength of moral compass. So I appreciate his words. I appreciate seeing Senator Ayat here as well. And I understand other of my colleagues have been here before. Let me start off by thanking the Organization of Iranian Communities for putting together today's event on Capitol Hill. I'm thrilled to see so many Iranian Americans from across the country. And I'd like to thank and recognize the National Council of Resistance of Iran for their commitment to elevating your voices, the voices of Iranians inside of Iran, and in constantly advocating for the freedom of the Iranian people. As we all know here in this room, there is a critical inflection point for every Iranian fighting for their fundamental rights. 3 months ago, the Iranian morality police beat Mahsa Amini to death for not properly wearing her hijab. In the aftermath, we have seen the incredible bravery and courage from Iranians of all walks of life. We have seen women defiantly burn their hijabs and cut off their hair in public. We have seen Iranian soccer players on the global stage at the World Cup risk everything to stand in solidarity with their brothers and sisters back at home. For 90 days, we have seen Iranians gather in squares and march to the streets to confront the misogyny of the regime. At the same time, we've seen the regime respond with the brutality we know all too well: tear gas, public threats against family members, torture, live gunfire, and death. They have killed hundreds of protesters and arrested tens of thousands more. The actions of this regime won't come as a surprise for anyone who has been paying attention to Iran over the years. I certainly have, since my days in the House of Representatives. Everyone here knows how intractable and dishonest the Iranian regime has been. We have seen it for years with their nuclear ambitions and their approach on negotiations with the JCPOA, which is why I oppose the JCPOA, and I continue to oppose the elements that are being pursued now. We see what this regime is really all about in the Iranian drones that are killing Ukrainians. We see it in the missiles aimed at our Gulf allies. We see it in the attempted assassinations of previous United States officials. They have repressed and tortured many of your friends and family. There are too many pictures here on each side of me. Family members and colleagues who've been opposing the regime for decades. They have massacred innocent political prisoners. And now, on full display across social media, we are seeing how ruthless and desperate they are to keep their grip on power. The difference between what we see now and in the past is simply that more people in the world are understanding the depravity of this regime. And that is what we need to keep alive, the ability for people here in our country, in our leadership, and across the globe to understand the depravity of this regime and what it means and why it is necessary to give echo and support to the voices of those inside of Iran who are facing great risk in order to pursue their basic human rights. The regime is taking a page from Putin's playbook, deploying the same tactics that Russia used in Syria against their Kurdish populations in cities like Mahabad. Another tragic incident in a long record of repression. But the spilling of protesters' blood should never, never, never be normalized. And the United States and the international community cannot be silent. And that's why just this week, we passed my Senate Concurrent Resolution 47 commending the bravery of Iranian protesters on behalf of the United States government so that the world knows where we stand. It is why I have pushed to amplify the voices of Iranian protesters around the world using social media and other technologies and American surrogate networks. To those who say we shouldn't get too much in the advocacy for Iranian protesters because it may seem like America generating this, I say giving voice to those inside of Iran so that what they say can be heard across the globe is Iranians protesting against the regime. It is why I think the United States needs to be raising this issue in every international forum that we can, as we have done with allies from the UN Human Rights Council to the Commission on Women. And we should be using the tools we have to help circumvent the regime's efforts to jam communications of its own people. And we should invoke Magnitsky and other sanctions against those who are perpetrating this heinous act. They must know that they are not beyond the reach of justice. We should not underestimate the deep and real grievances of Iranian protesters. Their chants against the Iranian regime reflect decades of pent-up frustration as to the loss of their basic human rights. Their demands for justice and fundamental rights are inspirational, especially in the face of the Iranian regime's response. All they want is to live a life in peace and prosperity, a visceral and emotional display of the power of simply pursuing peace. So, let us keep standing up to the regime's human rights violations and violence. Let us continue to protect those in Ashraf-free, and I am committed to doing that. Let's keep fighting the senseless repression of women and girls. Let's keep the world's eyes riveted on Tehran's ruthlessness, because if we work together and we stick to our shared American democratic values and principles, I believe there is nothing we cannot achieve here and for the Iranian people in Iran. Thank you so much.